Good day to you. This is Anagalactic on the 20, ooh, is it the 24th? Oh, it is the 24th. Okay, we're getting on into 2026. We are in a series on the collapse of the wave function, but in my rather unique approach to science, I do like to address what science is all about, which takes us, by definition, outside of science. What is the superspace for science? Do we have a goal? Is there some purpose to science? I think we all, in the West certainly, would agree.
Oh my god. Are you brain dead? Have you been living under a rock at the bottom of the sea?
There's technology. Of course science is good. I agree. But is that science? Well, no, that's not all of science. All of science is technology, well then AI is the destination. That's what you're being brainwashed to believe. Is it true? Are you taken in? Are you being hauled in the same net to be processed into cans to be distributed perhaps for other people to eat your flesh? Is that what AI is for? To turn us all into cattle, just like in Soylent Green. Charlton Heston had such a marvelous line in that immortal science fiction movie, "They're eating people." Well, that ranks right up there with "damned dirty apes," and, of course, his most famous line by far in the Planet of the Apes, the natural result of evolutionary theory, Planet of the Apes, where he got the immortal line, "God damn you all to hell." Well, that doesn't sound like science, it sounds like fiction. Well, it's science fiction, so you can have both. Well, that's what I address, both. Is religion just pure goddamned fiction? Of course, in the West, yes, of course. Fuck God, fuck Christ, fuck Mohammed, fuck everything that's not exactly what Big Brother the fucker says. Isn't that right? Yes! You're being brainwashed. Well, what are you going to do about that? What are you going to do? You're not going to vote. That's not going to help. You're not going to go to church. That's not going to help. Well, what will help? I'll show you. Of course, there's an answer. You wouldn't be human, okay, if you didn't believe that there's an answer, a rational answer. Why are you conscious? Why are you alive? Why does it terminate? Why does everybody go into the deep 6-footer and not come back? What is going on? Isn't that a real question? Can it be addressed rationally? It had better be addressable rationally, or we have no brains worth anything, right? Yes! So why does nobody have an answer? Why can nobody solve the human equation? Well, what are we doing instead? Elon Musk! We're going to the stars! Why? Why are we going to the stars, Elon the Pope, who takes the place of Jesus Christ himself? Who are you working for, Elon? Well, I checked. I believe I'm not talking out of the box or behind the classroom, just writing graffiti, anarchy, anarchy. You're gone stark raving mad because Elon Musk says we need to abandon ship. It's time to go to another planet. Oh, he's a child. Oh, there are much more powerful men way above Elon Musk. They say, Elon, you retard. We cannot just go to another planet. We'd simply start the same thing all over again and destroy Mars a second time. Just like we're destroying Earth. So, Elon, all you're doing is try to punch your way out of a paper bag. We're not going to fly to Mars with you, you maniac. And so the big boys upstairs in the control booth, whether it's in Washington, D.C. or Jerusalem, I leave that as homework for you to discover on your own. It is, of course, Jerusalem, but New York is sister cities with that goddamn genocidal town of European invaders. They're gonna do to Iran just what the European fuckers did to North and South America. They're going to exterminate the natural inhabitants. Well, that's just part of geopolitical history. Wake up and smell the burnt coffee. The Earth is fucked. So just going to Mars isn't going to cure that because you're taking humans along with you. You need to get rid of the humans, genocide down to the last human. So there's no curse left on Earth. It can go back to being normal and maybe somehow struggle back to some kind of normal balance without any more goddamned humans. So upstairs where Ed Witt lives, kind of a pope, there's, Richard Feynman is dead, so we need more popes. We need more giants. Giants. As idols. We need more idols to turn our eyes from heaven, to turn our eyes from the truth, to make sure we continue to work as slaves for the government. So only the government has any answers now. Well, they are more than willing to tell us what their answers are. The official, down from the top, Hitler, right on the balcony, speaking to the entire Aryan race. Ed Witt, the brain-dead, half-computerized human, tells us the true religion that takes the place of God and Christ and Muhammad and any other fake. Ed Witt will speak for the machine. What does the machine say, for God's sake? Well, not for God's sake, for Satan's sake, I don't know if you're willing to go that far, but whatever, I don't subscribe to any of this, but I'm just reporting to you what's in the newspapers every day, every university, every lecture, everything on YouTube, everything that anyone breathes, if they have white skin, or they're mathematicians, or they're physicists, fuck God! So what's the replacement for God? Because that's the war that's going on. It's either science or religion, one or the other. Either Islam wins or London wins. I like to say London because we all know what comes out of London. Yeah. Fairies? Elton John? That's the real Queen of England, right? It's Elton John. That's the Queen of England, right? Well, it certainly has invaded American culture. The homos are protected even more severely than the Jews are protected. You can't say anything against retards, although they're all around you. You can't even refer to a nigger because everyone would think you're a racist. You can't refer to a Jew because now you're a political adversary. You can't refer to God because now you're brain dead. Well, what are you allowed to refer to? AI. Let's go to the stars because that's what the government wants. They've decided. In the West, the leaders of the world taking the place of Islam. What's the new religion? What have you been brainwashed into that you can't get out of? You never will. No matter what I say, you're not going to change. That's what I'm here to tell you. And now we're approaching 10 minutes. So what I want to introduce you to is the approach of perhaps the last wise man in America, myself. I will tell you exactly what science is and what religion is with all the answers on both sides of that fence so that they're unified so there's no difference between science and religion. In order to do that, we're going to consult three major texts. One of them is the I Ching, the only sacred holy book to come out of China. That is predictable. They are the largest culture on earth by far. Only India is a close second. India produced no religion, although there is a footnote. There is Hinduism and Buddhism, not quite religions, but very close. And I count them as sub-religions, contributory, so you have some angle on the whole prospect of what religion might be. Well, it might be Buddhism, it might be Hinduism, it might be any other of the 10,000 religions that have arisen in separate societies around the world. But there are two main ones, and they both come out of the Middle East. The Middle East, why would the two main religions come out of the Middle East? Because they carry the transmission record from the beginning of mankind. Something you're brainwashed not to think about. Because that can't be true. You've already been told by your educational system in America or the adjuncts of America in Europe, all of whom are butt boys to America now, including Israel, who is actually the chief butt boy of America. Why is America still on top? All the money comes from America. All the money comes from America. Israel would not exist without that money. I think you know, every year the Israeli nation is ready to go under. And without the United States, Israel would not exist more than 5 years. It would be destroyed by its neighbors. Without America. But with America, now it's on the offensive. First, it's going to kill all the Palestinians, and it's almost done. And then it's going to get the rest of the Middle East, according to the prophecies they think apply to them. To Europeans, there are no prophecies that apply to Europeans, except in terms of damnation. So that's how I was born. I was born into the West, not Islam. But I could be Islam, couldn't I? I am a free man, I am, but I'm about the only free man I've ever met, and of course I am Islam, because Islam is true. Do you know that? You're not allowed to know that. So what is the actual transmission of which I speak, which I claim and can prove is the only true religion? There's only one religion. Since the beginning of time, there's only one religion. Can you credit that? No, you're not allowed to go back to the beginning of time. That's too scientifically accurate. You're not allowed to know your origins. Big Brother has already told you. You don't have any origin. Well, if you don't have any origin, you have no purpose and no destination. Welcome to modern American society. The N-word is not good enough or bad enough. It's something much, much worse. You're little tinker toys in the hands of a higher power. If you vote, you're a retard. Period. That's the definition of retardedness. You vote? Oh, then you must have an identity. Your vote counts? Let me just give you a harsh secret of the political universe. Your vote never counted. Nobody's vote counts for anything. The decisions in any voting arena have already been made. You know, people voted in communist Russia. Did you know that? Of course, they vote. And there are always two candidates. Can you tell one candidate from another? Nope, they're the same candidate. Trump runs against Hillary Clinton in his first election race. I followed this. I claimed, hyperbolically, because I'll never vote, I'm not retarded, but my friends are retarded, and one of them loves Trump so much that it's sexual. He's sexually in love with Trump. He goes all the way. He wants to do that with Trump. And he hopes maybe he'll be favored and get into the bridal chambers with Trump someday. And so he votes for Trump. And the other man, another one of my best friends, I grew up with these two boys. And it was just only, 6 or 7 years ago, I was locked under the same roof with these two monsters. My best friends, one of them is a Jew. And of course, he hates Trump. He hates Trump so bad, it makes anybody's hatred of Hitler go down the drain. And I got to listen to these two guys just screech at each other like Tim Maudlin and Bernardo Castro. Oh, Trump is a god. And Rick would go out of his mind. Trump is a god. He wanted to kill Hal. And Hal just basically just took his triumphant, ever perfect Republican stance. You little crybaby. You poor little Jew. He's a racist. Well, so's Rick, although he doesn't know what he's in favor of. Because he hates himself. He's a self-hating Jew. Well, of course I identify with him. Do I identify with Hal? Sometimes. I mean, it's sad. To be befriended by these idiots is degrading. And it says that in Proverbs. If you hang out with clowns, you're going to become a clown. Well, if you listen to these scientists broadcasting from their pulpits against God, against anything religious, you're going to go to hell. I really don't see how you can argue with that. Now you may say, well, there's no hell. Okay, then you're going to oblivion. Are you ever gonna do anything like a man? Are you ever going to be real? I think that is the natural question in science. Can you get objective truth? Well, of course you can, or you wouldn't have a brain, you idiot. So how does that figure in with supernatural reality? It doesn't. If you say supernatural, you're outside the bounds of science. Oops! Oopsie daisy! That's what you've been brainwashed to think. That there's no such thing as supernaturality. Well, there has to be, or we're at a dead end. There is such a thing as supernaturality. It's just a question of who's going to define it rationally. Who could possibly do that? Isn't that a contradiction? Welcome to the cosmological paradox. Welcome to the quantum paradox. Welcome to the end of science. Welcome to the beginning of the end. Your rational logical system has been canceled. Guys like Ed Witt, who are all atheists. Ed Witt is an atheist Jew. The people who interview him, such as Brian Greene, are atheist Zionist Jews. Do they know whom they're serving? Do they know what they're doing? I say no, or they would slit their own wrists. Well, Brian Greene obviously does not want to slit his own wrists. I merely state objectively that if he did know what he's doing by interviewing this asshole named Ed Witt, that he is a triple asshole for doing so without calling his game. And I've been over this, but I'll just remind you that Ed Witt, when he was asked the question by Brian Greene, what is string theory? Ed Witt began by saying, well, since we're all from monkeys, stop. That's what they all do. They all work in evolution every time. Every time. What is the solution to the quantum paradox? Well, since we're from monkeys, oh, wait a minute. That hasn't been proved. Oh, Scott. Oh, that has not been proved? Have you read Darwin? Yes. Well, then, why would you say that we're not from monkeys? And that's it. That's not a request for me to put up my position. That is a command. Shut your ignorant mouth! Well, that applies to Islam and ultimately to Christianity. You can't. No, that's not real. That has nothing to do with anything. So there's no God. So when Brian Greene, the Zionist Jew, okay, I'm not sure that he knows that. He doesn't act like a Jew. He looks like a Jew, but that, who cares? I look like an idiot, but that doesn't mean I am an idiot. You're born the way you're born. If you're a scientist, you're not a racist. You can't be. You're a scientist. There's no such thing as racism. Oh, is there not? No, there's not. Why not? It's been proved we're all the same. Human beings are identical. That's been proved. So how can you use the N-word? What kind of an idiot would say that? Someone who's highly emotionally charged. Someone who's been brainwashed to hate. Has Ed Witt been brainwashed to hate? He's far beyond that. Ed Witt does not need to hate anymore. He knows he's right. And he acts that way. So does Tim Maudlin. For that matter, so does Bernardo Castro. If you don't know those names, look into my video history. I'm sorry. We have sirens all the time. So, in short, is there such a thing as religion? Is there any concept of God in science? Well, I mean, you're doomed now. You don't answer that. Don't answer that because you're just slitting your own throat. Either way, you're damned. Is there such a thing as supernaturality? That has actually been proved, but what is it? Only I know. So only I know the secret either of science or religion. I'm the only man on earth who can explain either concept correctly. Do you know how I do this magic? Am I a warlock? Am I some kind of, half human, half demigod? Oh, what am I? Where do I get my information? The Illuminati? Have I taken the rights? Did I bend over and take it up the tailpipe so I could be a Mormon? No, I don't do that. That's necromancy. I don't do that. I'm a scientist. I'm speaking to you scientifically. It may not sound like it, but unless you're emotionally involved in this issue, you'll never get the answer because you're not engaging your human side. You have to have a human answer to any question in science. Now, when we're just exploring objective truth, like does the sun pilot itself through the sky like a god? Does it have high velocity? No, that's been disproved. It does not have high velocity, but it sure looks like it does. My last question to you was, why does it look like the sun flies through the sky? If you can answer that, you'll get all the answers. It's as simple as that. It's the oldest question in science. Why does the sun rise in the east and set in the west? It looks like it has extremely high velocity. That's the quantum paradox. The answer to the question has to do with the sphericity of the Earth, right? It has an innate angular momentum, right? Well, how did the Earth get an innate angular momentum such that our position on the surface of a sphere, which is true, why does that make the universe go round and round and round? There's only one right answer. It's a force called centrifugal force that acts in anti-space. And that describes the flight of the photon, the collapse of the wave function, and everything in science. On conjugality, which is a term your physicists will never understand because it's obvious. They want polar opposites. They want linear opposites. The universe does not recognize that form of logic. The only form of logic in use in the universe since the beginning all the way to now consistently is conjugal arithmetic, conjugal mathematics, conjugal algebra, conjugal geometry, which means we are at an evolutionary bifurcation point. I've taken the right path, science has taken the wrong path. That makes me alone. That's why I raised my voice. That's a partial reason. The other partial reason that explains me getting emotional is that I'm dying. And if I'm the only man who can save science or religion, and that is the case, then I am running out of time to save anybody, however you interpret salvation. Scientifically, humanly, universally, for humanity, for yourself, for your neighbors, for your children. What does it all mean, Alfie? Only I know. And I must tell you before I die. Thank you for tuning in. I am the happiest man in the world. But as it says in the sacred Yi Jing, when you have an excess of yang, a change is coming for which you had better be prepared. I have gone over the top too many times. I just produced a video that I had to not upload because I screeched at the top of my lungs for so long, I nearly killed myself. And that's self-defeating. That's the sign of a fool. I'm turning into a fool. I think you can sense that I really would prefer not to turn into a raving maniac. But when there's genocide going on and everybody says it's great, we have a problem in paradise. Is this earth sacred? Is there anything worth preserving? Are humans good at all? If you can't answer those questions instantly, positively, as if your life depended on it, you are not quite a man. You're not quite a man. And if you have not achieved manhood, as I know you haven't, you need to listen to me now. Because if you don't become a man, rational and oriented, you will be turned into a machine. A walking machine. called a cyborg. It's already happened. Is it too late for you? That's up to you. Every prophet has to say that because it's the final choice. No one can make that choice for you. If you certainly do not believe in God because you don't want to be a fairy, then you've been brainwashed. And you'll never get out of that because you think there's no way out. You know that there's no God. You would rather kill yourself than admit that there's a creator, a creative force, an initiator, an initiating force, a consciousness that made yours. Oh no, that would put you too low on the food chain. You're being brainwashed to think that you're a god, just like Ed, just like Brian, just like Neil, just like Lex. They're all gods. They made it. They got theirs, mate. And they're out there to tell you, you can be just like them. Just serve the government. Just learn the mathematics and make your pile, make your stash, and fuck everybody else. 'Cause you got yours, mate, just as they have theirs, mate. Without God, without control, without authority. They're the authorities! Who made them authorities? Why do they think they can lie to you and get away with it? I leave that for homework for you. That's coming up on a half an hour. I would like to wrap this up on a positive note, although I've given you clues, basically just patting myself on the back. I have the answer. Well, what is it? I can't tell you because you're too stupid to hear it. You would try to kill me. No, we wouldn't. Yes, you would. And so I won't tell you. Well, that's not a prophet. A prophet has to walk into the trap. He has to put his foot in the noose. He has to be captured by his enemies. He has to be tortured. He has to be beaten half to death. He gets a crown of thorns on his head, and he gets let out on his own birthday that is now his death day, the holiest day in the Israeli calendar. Murder him! Murder him! That's Yeshua, my master! Keep looking up. We'll be right back. Thank you.